Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Dear students, today our discussion is about discourse and racism. Fine. And our entire discussion will be all about whites and blacks. Fine. Racism. So, first let's talk about what racism is. Then we'll later on go to the analysis of racism, how to explore racism in a text. Fine. So some definitional considerations. Racism is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. When we have some prejudice, some discrimination, some inequality, when we show some inequality to someone or hatred towards someone on the basis of the belief that our own race is superior than theirs, our own race is superior to theirs, such kind of discrimination, such a kind of prejudice, such kind of antagonism, such kind of hatred, this or such kind of any negative attitude, this is what we call racism. Simply, racism is the conscious or unconscious belief that a particular race is superior to another. Simply, when we believe consciously or unconsciously, when we believe that one race is superior to another race, that is what we call racism. Fine. According to Van Dyke, racism is a social system of domination of a specific kind of power of one group over another groups, in our case of Europeans, whites over non-European people. Fine. According to him, what is racism? It is a social system of domination. Again, racism is a social inequality, a social issue, a social problem, and it is of a specific kind of power of one group over another. Like when one group dominates another group, or when one group, the members of one group feel themselves superior to the members of another group on the basis of color particularly, or other biological features. Okay. But now he is given the example, in our case of Europeans means whites over non-Europeans. Like in the European countries there are so many other nations, okay, like they have got the African Americans particularly, or the African people, the black Americans. So even the immigrants who have come from different regions of the world, so they treat them as others. And the in-group members, like all the white people, they treat all the white people, their in-group members, is their self, is the us. Fine. So such kind of social domination, social system of domination, which is based on color, or which is based on any other biological feature, that kind of social system of domination is called racism, according to Van Dyke. Now, the act of racism can be on multiple bases. Saida Madiha Mehwish has been trying to connect with us since the very beginning of the lecture, but she must have got certain, network issues. Anyhow, the acts of racism, they are invoked, they are practiced on multiple levels. Like if you look at the very family level, so we show bad behavior towards children who have got black color usually. And look at simply your family. If there is a child who has got whose skin color is black, so what do we say in the Pashto language? The Torada in the Tur they fine. Like we stigmatize them simply. Okay, stigmatize them. We isolate that child from society. Fine. So it starts at the very family level. Now such sort of treatment, such kind of bad behavior against children, it evokes a sense of inequality in their mind. Like they feel themselves inferior wherever they go. A sense An absence of kind feelings. Like they think that the elder members of the family, they do not have the feeling of kindness for them, while the other children who have got white color, fair color, they are treated with more kindness as compared to those children who have got pure black color. Lack of respect, again, they are not respected in the family, particularly by their own peers, by their own friends and fellows. They call them sometimes Tora, Tor, Black, Kalarang, and stigmatization like that. So they feel lack of respect. They are disrespected in the family and then in the entire society as well. So it starts. The act of racism, it starts at the very family level. If you look at schools, the school level, so choosing a classmate to sit with based on where he or she is from, or what is the color of his or her skin, that is also called racism, but that is at school level then. Like children, if we do not have these things in vogue in Pakistani society, but these things are in vogue over there in the West, particularly where like people of different races, they live together. So they over there, white people, for example, they prefer to sit with white children only. White children prefer to sit with white children, while uh, black children, they prefer to sit with the black children, and they do not, they avoid mixing up together. So again, it is in vogue at school level as well. Then among friends, avoiding foreigners because of fear caused by wrong perspectives about certain countries. Like friends, we will hardly see a black person be the friend of a white person. Though things are different, things are getting changed very fast now. Fine, on individual level, particularly in the West, fine, but still, this thing is racism. At this level, it is again at vogue. Fine, white people, they tend to have to keep white friends, while black people, they tend to keep black friends. Look at the movies, the Prison Break movie. If you have watched that movie, the drama series, the serial, okay, over there as well, the black people, they are all together, they are friends with one another. White people, they are on the other side. At work, racism is at vogue at workplaces as well. Like sometimes employers discriminate among candidates for job. Like they say, I don't want foreigners in my business, or they are not qualified. Sometimes even clearly, very clearly, it is written there that only the white or the Britishers are eligible. Fine. Sometimes there are written that this job is not for the blacks. This job is not for the colored people. Okay, the private organizations particularly. So this thing is it vogue in this thing is in vogue at workplaces as well. Fine. Like native employees act in an unfriendly way against foreigners and are reluctant to cooperate on performing duties. So first of all, eligibility, like they are not given jobs. Even if they are given jobs, still like the discrimination is there. Like they are treated very harshly in organizations. They are overburdenized in organizations. Fine, if they commit some sort of professional mistake, some academic mistake, so they get punished for that. Or like simply they are treated differently, the way from the way the white people are treated. So this racism is in vogue at workplaces as well. Now if we look at the everyday life at the park, people say, these are quotations from research papers, we should not go this way because there are so many immigrants and we may get robbed. or sometimes they say some black people have been sitting there. I'm not going to sit there because black people are sitting there already. So this is how like it is in everyday life. Racism is in vogue. On the bus, we they you can you see us and them, we and they, fine, any group members and our group members. So we and they are seated separately because we are afraid we might get robbed. Like this is what we're going to discuss later on, that how are the black people represented in the daily text and talk in the discourses. Okay, but this is how like racism is at work at family level, at school level, among friends, at workplaces, and in everyday life as well. Racism is in vogue. Okay, it is in practice. Now if you look at the relationship between discourse and racism, so racist discourse, according to Van Dyke, racist discourse is a form of discriminatory social practice that manifests itself in text, talk, and communication. Okay, together with other non-verbal discriminatory practices, racist discourse contributes to the production of racism as a form of ethnic or racial domination. It does so typically by expressing, confirming, or legitimatizing, legitimatizing racist opinions, racist attitudes, and racist ideologies of a dominant ethnic group. Simply, if you look at racist discourse, okay, or day-to-day text and talk and communication, racism is can be found there. Okay, it is a kind of social practice. Racism is a kind of social practice, but it is discriminatory in nature because it is not a neutral practice, rather that is discriminatory. It is a practice which is in favor of one ethnic group while it is against another ethnic group. Okay, it is in favor of the dominant ethnic group and it is against the subordinate ethnic group. Fine. Now how is it manifested in text and talk? How is it manifested in communication and discourse? Racism. Fine. So not only the verbs, rather together with other non-verbal discriminatory practices. Non-verbal discriminatory practices are also there, like they are punished. Fine, they are treated harshly. They are not allowed to enter into the city hotels. Fine, but so many non-verbal discriminatory practices are there. So racist discourse contributes to the production of racism as a form of ethnic or racial domination. Clear? So this thing, racist discourse, people who produce racist discourse, they actually contributing to the production of racism as a form of ethnic or racial domination. Okay, the white people, for example, they produce a racist discourse, discourse. The even Narendra Modi or Donald Trump as well, because he's white, so he also produces racist discourse. So when a person produces racist discourse, that person is actually contribution to the production of racism. Okay, and that racism is based on ethnic or racial domination. So it does so typically by how is racism enacted, how is it produced and reproduced. It is produced and reproduced and enacted by expressing racism or this racial domination. Find the domination of one ethnic group, one racial group over another. So by expressing such kind of domination in discourse, by confirming such sort of domination in discourse, and by legitimatizing such sort of racial opinions, racist opinions, racist attitudes, and racist ideologies. Okay, so what do the discourse producers do? They express, they confirm, and they legitimatize racist opinions, racist attitudes, and racist ideologies in their daily text and talk. And this is how they produce, they reproduce, and this is how they enact and practice racism through racist discourses. Fine. So this is the relationship between discourse and racism. Now there are two forms of racist discourses. The first one, racist discourse directed at ethnically different others, directed towards, like they say you are black, okay, I am white, you are black. The second form is racist discourse about, it is not directed at ethnically different others, rather it is about ethnically different others, like they say black people are like this, or black people are vulgar, black people are uneducated, black people are uncivilized. We are going to talk about all these attributes in various representations later on, but this is about, okay, like in their daily text and talk, they talk about the black people and they represent the black people negatively in their discourses. On the other hand, some people, they, you know, some discourses, racist discourses are directed at those people, like it is told them that it is not told about them, rather they are addressed directly and they are told that I'm quoting the exact words, you are black. Fine. Let me show you an example from an English movie, one of my favorite movies. The name is Exam. Okay. uh, Let me show you here, let me open the file. Yes, here it is, Exam. Let me play it and let me share the screen with you. Can you see the screen of the movie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me share the computer sound as well. Can you see this? Can you hear the sound, the voice of the movie?
You deserve this.
Is
Yes,
it
sir.
audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Let me take you to certain examples of racism. Fine.
Are we agreed?
Yes.
Agreed.
If you can see, we have got a white person here. Fine. Before this, you saw people of some other nationalities.
Are we agreed?
Yes.
Agreed.
Here we have got a black person. This is brown.
Let's go, Gandhi.
My name's not Gandhi.
Now focus on the conversation from now onward.
Let's go, Gandhi.
My name's not Gandhi, friend. It's...
No names in here. Well, not real ones anyway. I mean, it's not written on this, so there's got to be a reason for that, hasn't there?
We'll use nicknames then.
Yeah, all right. Let's make this easy.
We already have numbers.
Yeah, and visual.
You're black. I'm white. You're brown. We've got blonde hair, brunette there.
Dark, I suppose.
And then last as well as least, we've got death.
G, did you observe it?
Labeling, sir.
G?
Labeling. They're like labeling everyone.
Yeah.
According to their.
Did you see the faces of the people, like the screen? Was it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So it's labeling, like he says, you are black, I'm white, you are brown. He is actually giving names to the people, to the candidate who are there for the exam. Fine. Like he refers to them by the color of their skin, and that is stereotypically a racist discourse. Okay, so that is how I told you that racist discourse, it is of two forms. Fine. The first one is racist discourse directed at ethnically different others, like you are black, you are white, you are black, you are brown, I'm white. Okay, and on the other hand, racist discourse about ethnically different groups, like people in discourses, sometimes they talk about the black people, about the lives and like the various activities, behavior, each and everything of the black people, but that is discourse about, racist discourse about the black people. Is this clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good,
sir.
good. Fine, let's move ahead. If you can see, again, stereotypically racist discourse, imperial laundry in cow, we wash for white people only. Now if you can see, this is, you know, a particular, you may say, you may call it organization we have got in Peshawar as well, the laundry, like people who wash the clothes of other people, they have got that business. So we can see the sort of things in the US, fine, and in the UK as well, that they have certain signboards, they have written certain chunk lines on their signboards, we wash for white people only. So again, stereotypically racist discourse is here. Okay, then city cafe, colored entrance, like those people who are black, they are supposed to sit there. On the other hand, the white people, sometimes they are made to sit, you know, on the ground floor, and the black people, they are made to sit on the first floor or the other way around. Okay, but they are not made to sit together, that, you know, a binary has been created between them. uh, Again, no Irish, no black, no dogs. Now, come on, God forbid. Look at this one now. No dogs. These are the pictures that have been taken from the signboards of hotels, restaurants, shops, and you know, small shops, etc. But these are the pictures of the signboards which have been taken from sort of, you know, businesses. So no dogs. Now they are referred to as dogs in the West. Clear? The black people. So this is what you call non-verbal, verbal and non-verbal discourse, racist discourse. Clear so far? Moving to
Sir, and
uh,
why Irish, sir?
because Irish people, they are the immigrant. Many of them have, you know, gone to the United States of America. The Irish immigrants. Okay, we have so many novels as well. Like we have the Invisible Man. Fine, I'll give you examples later on of these things. So the Irish people, they went there as immigrants to the U.S. and they are treated as others there. They're like never adopted. Fine, they're never considered as humans. Simply, you may say. So that is why they treat the Irish people as well in the same way, just as like they treat the African people fine, in the same way they treat the Irish people as well. Now, racism in discourse, going ahead, how are they described in the text and talk? Fine. How are the black people talked about in discourses? So the very first point, that is black and white identifiers. Okay, they are identified as black or white in discourses. Like just as I showed you the example from the movie. Fine, you are black, I'm white, you are brown. So that is how, like the terms, the names black and white, these identifiers are used. Fine. Then if you look at their representation, how are they represented in discourses? So they are referred to as colored, okay, Negroes, blacks, African Americans, So these are like the terms used for the black people in the West, particularly in the US. Okay. Now, personality characteristics, how are they represented? What sort of personality characteristics of the black people are talked about in the discourses of the white people? So they are referred to as criminals. They are considered violent, fine, doing violent, showing violent behavior. They are personality characteristics such as inferior. They are considered as inferior. They are referred to as stupid. They are referred to as comical, immoral, and dishonest, greedy, ignorant, power driven, like they are driven by their physical power, untidy, rebellious, fine, disrespectful, buffoonship, sexual, immoral, hopeless, untrained, uneducated, noisy. Okay, when they go to a hotel and white people are sitting there, so they say, oh, look at the noisy people, they came again, and now they are uneducated people, they are uncivilized people, they are untidy, and now they will start making noise again. Fine, they're stupid people. So this is how they are referred to in the text and talk of the white people. Fine, their personality characteristics. Now if you look at the professional roles, fine, what sort of professional roles are given to them in the Western society? And these are the examples I took from three research papers. I'll share with you. Fine. uh, Professions like a house cleaner, um, a postal worker, fine, like a postman. In Pakistani society, we may have the job of meter reader as well, but that job is not there in the West because things are quite digital over there. Fine. Uh, okay. A servant. If we watch the English movies, we can see them as servants, as cook, as entertainers, okay, as musician, as said non-white people, as exhibitionist, as corrupt individuals. If you watch the English movies, so like most of the time you will see the black people to be the corrupt characters in the movies. So that is how these are the professional roles which are usually associated with the black people. Fine. Now behavior and emotional representation. So black individuals in community discussed with criminal and violent behaviors in contrast to police justification and sympathy. Fine. Whenever like we look at such kind of discourses, racial discourses, or if you look at newspapers or media, so on the one hand we have the violent behavior and criminal behavior of the black people. On the other hand, we see the word police. And the examples, if you remember from the video which I shared with you early in the morning today. Okay. So whenever we see such kind of things in newspapers or in any other form of media, okay, we see that in what is being talked about, criminal and violent behavior of the black and police. Fine. So this is how like they are represented, their behavior and their emotional representation. If you look at speech acts in discourse, let's suppose if there is a conversation between a black and a white, or if there is a multi-log like conversation between many people, many participants, so what do we find there? And speech acts such as command, order, and threats, when inappropriately used against minority group members by white group members. The white people, they'll be giving orders, they'll be giving commands, they'll be giving threats, just as I showed you the example from the movie. Okay, a threat is there, a command is there that you need to do this, and these are our names. Like it is actually the white person who decides names for all those people, and from that onward all the people, they blindly believe that thing. Okay, and they refer to one another with those names only. Okay. So this is how like they give commands in the speech acts, they give orders, they give threats. On the other hand, the black people, they make requests, they make apologies. Okay. They express their gratitude, such as like thank you and such kind of things towards the white people. if you look at the turn taking, so different power differences may influence such turn taking. You already know about turn taking and turn allocation. We have already discussed all these theories of conversational analysis in detail. Fine. So some speakers may refuse to let others speak, or a next speaker may continually interpret it in appropriate places. 2 points are there regarding turn taking. Number one, the white people, the white people, they refuse to let the black people speak. Like they keep on talking all the time, and they do not let the black people to participate and to to contribute to the communication. Similarly, the black people, sorry, the white people, they continually interrupt it inappropriate places. Like when a black person is talking, so the white person will be interrupting continually. Find like over and over again, he will be doing interruption. He'll be interrupting the speech of the white people. If you remember the theory of simultaneous speech and overlapping, do you remember that simultaneous speech when two people talk at the same time? So we have already talked about certain kind of overlapping and simultaneous speech, interruptive simultaneous speech, non-interruptive simultaneous speech. Fine. So the interruptive simultaneous speech is from the side of the black or white people, while the non-interruptive and cooperative simultaneous speech, that is from the side of the black people. Fine. Similarly, in more formal dialogues, institutionally more powerful speakers, chairpersons, judges in courtroom, professors in classroom may civilly or overtly refuse to allow minority members to speak. Fine, by not addressing them, by prohibiting their interruptions, or by curtailing the length of their speech turns. If we look at the courtrooms in the West or classrooms in the West, so if like they usually ask questions from the white people. Okay, for example, if a teacher, a racist teacher wants to ask some question, or if a racist teacher wants to find out whether the points which he or she has already discussed are clear to all the students. So the teacher usually asks the white students, is it clear to you, is it clear to you? Like he addresses and he pinpoints to the white people only and not to the black one. Fine. So similarly, when a black person, a black student wants to communicate, he wants to contribute to the class. Fine. Classroom, what do we call it, uh, classroom participation. When they want to participate in classroom in activities in discussion, so they are either not allowed or they are interrupted by the teacher. Like when they speak for a short time, so they are interrupted and the teacher may say, okay, okay, it's fine, it's fine, fine. So this is how, like in turn taking, in turn education as well, they are discriminated, the white people. Like we may analyze a discourse, and based on the turn taking and turn allocation, the simultaneous speech and interruption, fine, based on all these techniques, we may explore that how do the white people uh, marginalize the black people in discourses. Okay, so what we discussed so far, um, uh, in conversation, the minority people, they are either excluded from discourses, like they are not given the chance to express their opinion. Fine. When they are given a chance, or when they take turn from their own self. Okay, when they self select themselves, we have already discussed these theories. Again, let me tell you. Fine. Like in turn taking interlocution, we have got certain techniques. The speaker A selects the next speaker. If you remember these various techniques of turn taking in turn allocation, speaker A selects the next speaker. If speaker A does not select the next speaker, speaker B selects himself. If the third rule, if speaker A selects the next speaker but the next speaker does not take the turn, speaker A may continue. Fine. So the speaker A, if speaker A is white, fine, so he does not select the next person, the black people, to speak. He does not allocate the turn to the next speaker, and he or she will be talking about all but he or she will be talking all the time. Fine. If speaker B is speaking, or like the black people person is speaking, is contributing to the conversation. Speaker A, like the white person, he or she will be interrupting again and again. He or she will be taking the turn. He'll be, self-selecting himself over and over again. Fine. Then if you look at speech X, what kind of speech X are there? So ordered, command. The black people, they are commanded, they are ordered, they are warned, they are threatened. Fine. On the other hand, the black people, they request the white people. Fine. They apologize more. So this is how conversational analysis may let us know about the power relations based on ethnicity, based on racism. Fine. They are even misinterpreted. Okay, when they say something, so their small mistakes, they are exaggerated. Fine. And they are misinterpreted. Okay, so here is an example of a speech delivered by the Zimbabwe president, I think 4 days ago or 3 days ago. He says racism will never end as long as white cars are still using black tires. Fine. Racism will never end if people still use black to symbolize bad luck and white for peace. Racism will never end if people still wear white clothes to weddings and black clothes to funerals. Racism will never end as long as those who don't pay their bills are blacklisted, fine, and not whitelisted. Uh, Even when playing snooker, you haven't won until you have sunk the black ball, and the white ball must remain on the table. But I don't care. As long as I'm still using violet toilet paper, I'm happy. There are some words which I have removed. The speech is available online. You may download it from Google. Fine, we are left with few seconds only in this session, less than 1 minute. It's written here. So let's start another session of 5 or 10 minutes only. Clear? Please join the video session again.
Okay, sir.